In this video, I'm reviewing Lalithaa Jewellery Mart, a live mainboard IPO from Chennai that opens for subscription on the 17th of August, asking the market for 1,700 crore rupees at a band of 190 to 201 rupees. At the top price, it screens as the cheapest big jewelry stock in India, around 11 times 1 year's profit. My read: that cheapness rests entirely on one suspicious year. Profit nearly tripled to 1,000 crore rupees in the exact year before the ask, while the cash from operations went minus, nearly 400 crore out of the door. Real improvement or a gold price windfall dressed as one? This review runs my 5 checks: the business, the numbers, the price, the red flags, and, by the end, my verdict with the exact evidence that would change it. To be clear about what this is, my analysis for education, not personalized investment advice. Decide with your own advisor and verify every number in the offer document. Check 1. What is this business? Lalithaa is a 40-year-old jewelry retailer from Chennai. Gold, silver, and diamond jewelry under one brand, priced for the value end of the market, the customer who compares making charges before buying. It runs 61 large stores across 5 southern states, deliberately deep in smaller cities. And here is the operating fact that made me sit up. Each store sells about 410 crore rupees of jewelry a year. The biggest listed rivals manage roughly 40 to 70 crore per store. Fewer, much bigger, much busier shops, with low making charges pulling in enormous volume, that is the moat this whole offer is built on. Hold that picture, because every number that follows flows from it. Next, the construction of the offer, because it decides where your money goes. The headline says the company is raising 1,700 crore rupees. In truth, that is 2 different transactions stapled into one hybrid offer. 1,200 crore is a fresh issue. The company creates brand new shares and sells them, and that cash goes into the business. It can buy gold, open stores. 500 crore is an offer for sale, OFS for short, the founder-promoter selling shares he already owns, and that cash goes to him, not to the company. Nothing wrong with a founder selling. It happens in most IPOs. But be precise about what the company itself receives. 1,200 crore before expenses, not 1,700. The price band is 190 to 201 rupees, and one retail lot of 74 shares costs about 14,874 rupees at the top. Now follow that fresh money one step further into the objects of the issue, the section of the offer document where the company must list, in writing, what it will do with the cash. It names about 1,033 crore rupees of specific uses, and the split surprises everyone who reads a jeweler's offer for the first time. Only about 35 crore builds the 10 new stores, the fit-outs, the furniture, the computers. Nearly 999 crore, almost everything, buys the gold inventory that fills them. Let that sink in. The shop itself is cheap. The metal inside it is not. Keep this line handy because it explains the strange cash numbers coming up. Whatever is left after issue expenses goes to general corporate purposes, a catch-all bucket. Now the ownership. Before the offer, the promoters own 97.72% of the company. After it, new shares created plus the founders' own sale, they still hold 82.85%. Why does the percentage fall? The dilution rule, in plain terms, your slice shrinks when the total number of shares grows. Picture owning 60 shares out of 100, that is 60%. The company creates 25 more shares. You still own your 60, but now out of 125, 48%. Same shares, smaller slice. Here, high retention cuts both ways. The founder keeps overwhelming skin in the game, his money stays at risk beside yours. But the public float, the slice of the company actually available to trade, is barely 17%. And a thin float exaggerates every move, up on a hot listing day, and down just as hard in a panic. Check 2. The financials, 3-year side by side. Read them as a shape, not a table. Revenue, everything the stores sell in a year, was roughly 16,800 crore, then 16,900, flat, then 25,000 crore, up 48% in a single year. Profit after tax, what is left once every cost is paid, is stranger. About 360 crore, then 365, flat again, then 1,010 crore. 2 sleepy years, and then profit nearly triples in the exact year the company comes to market. That pattern is not automatically wrong. Gold prices genuinely soared. But my first response to a pre-listing triple is never applause. It is a question: what exactly produced this, and will it repeat? Here is the most likely answer, and it comes from the company's own risk pages. Lalithaa does not hedge its gold. Hedging is simply insurance against a price moving on you, and Lalithaa carries none. Now think about what a jeweler is. Tons of gold bought at yesterday's price, sold at today's. When gold climbs steeply, as it did through this financial year, the gain on all that unhedged inventory flows straight into profit. Brokerages estimate that much of the margin jump, from about 4% to 6.7%, is exactly this. Which means the honest base case is mean reversion, a plain idea. A number pulled up by a one-off force drifts back when the force fades. If gold merely goes flat, margins drift back toward the old 4% world, and the tripled profit shrinks with them. The line to watch is gold versus margin. Right now, they are one line. Now the test I trust more than any profit line. Cash. Profit is an accountant's calculation, cash is a fact. Operating cash flow simply counts the actual rupees that came in from running the stores, minus the rupees that went out. The profit line says the company earned 1,010 crore. The cash statement says operations consumed almost 400 crore, more money went out than came in. 2 of the last 3 years were cash negative, so where did the profit go? Into inventory. Let me put that in plain terms. A jeweler opening bigger stores must fill every counter with gold before a single customer walks in. The gold is paid for today. It sells over months. So the profit turns into gold on shelves. Current assets, mostly that stock, swelled from about 6,100 crore to over 10,100 crore in 1 year, gold bought at ever higher prices, while actual cash in hand fell to just 16 crore rupees. And remember the objects section. Nearly 1,000 crore of the IPO itself buys still more inventory. None of this is a scandal. It is how this model grows. But it is capital hungry by construction, and you must price it that way. Run the asking price against 2 different years of earnings, and watch the same share turn cheap and expensive at once. First, price the whole company. Multiply the 201 rupee share price by about 56 crore total shares after the issue. The board shows the result, a market value of about 11,250 crore rupees. Price to earnings, PE for short, divides the share price by 1 year's earnings per share, in plain terms, how many years of this year's profit you are paying up front. On the tripled year, 201 divided by about 18 rupees of earnings is about 11 times. Now the uncomfortable version. On the previous, ordinary year, earnings per share were about 6.5 rupees. The same 201 rupee price over those earnings is about 31 times. Same company, same price, 11 times if the windfall year is the new normal, 31 times if it is not. For context, Kalyan trades near 43 and Thangamayil near 42. At 11 times the tripled year, the offer screens as the cheapest big jeweler. At about 31 times the flat years, it is ordinary. The whole debate is which year you believe. The trap, cheap at 11 times, silently assumes the gold windfall year repeats forever. Haircut the earnings first, then judge the multiple, never the other way around. Now the peer table, put the whole ladder on the board. On the tripled year, Lalithaa at about 11 times sits with the cheapest names, Senco near 10, the small regional players below that. Kalyan trades in the 40s, Thangamayil, its closest Tamil Nadu comparable, near 42. And yet Lalithaa posts the sector's best return on equity, the profit earned on every 100 rupees the owners keep inside the business, over 41%, on top of that unmatched revenue per store. So why is it priced with the cheap names? Because the market pays premium multiples for consistency, for profits that have already survived a full gold cycle. Kalyan and Thangamayil have shown that Lalitha's record before this year was 2 flat ones. My reading matches the analyst consensus. Optically cheap, roughly fairly priced once you haircut the windfall year. One review puts it at the lower end of the peer range, another calls it fully priced. Now the red flags, and I rank them rather than count them, on severity and specificity. Severity, how hard it hits if it lands. Specificity, how much it is this company's problem in particular. Risk 1, the unhedged gold book cuts both ways. The same exposure that tripled profit runs in reverse if gold falls, margins compress directly. And if gold instead spikes higher, its value-conscious customers postpone big purchases, so demand stalls. Heads or tails, gold moves this company. Risk 2, concentration. Every rupee of revenue comes from 5 southern states. A regional demand shock, a price war with entrenched local rivals, Thangamayil, GRT, Joyalukas, or one state-level rule change touches the entire book at once. On my map of severity against specificity, both of these sit in the top corner, heavy if they land and specific to this company. 3 more items on my follow-up list, things I would want verified before believing the long-term story. First, a goods and services tax dispute reported at over 1,000 crore rupees. That figure comes from brokerage coverage, not from my own read of the offer document, so treat it as unverified and check the litigation section of the RHP yourself. At this size, it matters. Second, the jewelry purchase schemes, customer advances, in plain terms, customers paying monthly installments toward a future purchase. Those advances help fund the gold buying, and they are deposits in economic substance, an area where the compliance rules keep evolving for every jeweler. Third, one broker, Senco, flags that market share has actually been slipping despite the headline growth. None of these is automatically disqualifying. Each is a question I would want answered before owning this long-term. And the first is exactly why you open the document instead of trusting a summary. Before the verdict, the 2 signals everyone will quote at you this week. Handle both with gloves. First, the gray market premium, GMP, an informal street price for the shares before they list, traded outside the exchanges. Trackers currently show a premium of roughly 27 to 40 rupees, an implied listing pop of 13 to 19%. Treat it as sentiment with no regulatory protection behind it. It is unregulated. It spiked and then cooled into the weekend, and readings taken before subscription even opens are its least reliable kind. Second, the anchor book anchor investors are large institutions allotted shares the day before opening, a paid-for vote of confidence. 508 crore rupees went to 22 institutions. Goldman Sachs, ICICI Prudential, Morgan Stanley, and Bandhan among them. Genuinely good names. One caution from me, the book is concentrated. The top 2 alone hold about 40% of it. Check 5, the verdict, and I build it as 2 separate questions. Question 1, the listing trade. Will it pop on day 1? A cheap optical multiple, a credible anchor book, and double-digit gray market interest usually list well. That case is decent, though the softening premium says it is not a slam dunk. Question 2, the investment. Would I still want to own this 3 years from now? That hinges entirely on whether the tripled profit survives flat gold, and today, honestly, nobody knows. The broker split tells you the same thing. Swastika says subscribe on the discount to peers. SBI Securities stays neutral and wants listed history first. Samco says avoid on the cash flows. They are not contradicting each other, they are answering the two different questions. So here is my call, worth applying for listing gains with moderate conviction in money you can afford to park. But I would not hold it long-term yet, not until 2 or 3 quarters prove the tripled profit is real. That is my analysis, for education, not a personalized recommendation. Size anything you do with your own advisor. And what would change my mind, either way, comes next. Here is the discipline I hold myself to. I write down, before listing day, what evidence would change my answer in either direction. For the long-term case, 3 tests. 1, 2, or 3 quarters after listing, is the operating margin still near 6% or better, with gold flat? 2, has operating cash flow turned positive as the new inventory starts selling through? 3, are the 10 new stores ramping anywhere near the 400 crore store productivity of the old ones? If all 3 show up, today's price will look very cheap in hindsight, and the market will still let you in. If they fail, the listing pop was the whole story. Waiting costs you the pop. It buys you the answer. Practical mechanics if you do apply. One retail lot is 74 shares, about 14,874 rupees at the top of the band. Use only money you can afford to leave parked through a weak listing, and do not borrow to bid for this one. The float is thin, and the gray market signal is already softening. Subscription runs the 17th to the 19th of August. Allotment lands around the 20th. Listing is slated for the 24th. If your plan is to sell on listing day, write your exit rule down before the 24th, not while watching the opening tick. And remember, allotment is never promised. In a hot book, you may simply not get shares. Let me close the review. We trace the money, 1,200 crore into the company, 500 to the founder, and nearly all of the fresh cash buying gold for 10 new stores. We stress-tested the tripled profit against the unhedged gold book. We priced the same share on 2 different years of earnings, 11 times or 31. We ranked the risks, and we split the verdict. Apply for listing gains with moderate conviction. Hold long-term only after the quarters prove it. Remember what this is, my analysis, for investor education, not investment advice, and numbers can change. Verify the final figures in the red herring prospectus before you bid a single rupee, and decide with your own advisor. Now comment with the one number in this offer that still bothers you. It picks the next review. Subscribe for the next live IPO review. And open the full IPO reading framework in the ExamMaster app. Signing up is free.